Welcome to the Improviding Life Podcast, where we explore how life can be more livable. This is Lori Love Crawford, your host, and we are starting a adulting on your own terms, adulting the way that you really want to adult, like redefine and befriend adulting series. And so this is all prompted by just realizing that with so many things in life, like we were told that XYZ thing, so in this case adulting, has to look and be a certain way, and oftentimes how are the people telling us that definition actually existed in that role? That's just a huge mismatch, right? And also some of these expectations and definitions of, how to function are so outdated, so rooted in racism, capitalism, patriarchy, sexism, just inhumane power structures. And so why the fuck are we idly continuing on in that way, right? Why are we not questioning that, changing our definitions to suit our own values and vision for our life in the world, and also acknowledging what access to resources we do or don't have, what current season in life are we in, all of these contextual elements that matter and that actually can give us the insight on how to do this, redefinition and re-embodiment practice. So in this first episode, I really want to just spend time having that conversation about my own experience with what I was told adulting is, where we can look in our lives and society to see how adulting is shown to us, and then a few thoughts or prompts on how we can create the time, the space, the mental, brain cells coming together to identify what adulting has been pitched to us as. So then that way, in the next episode, we'll be going on so how do we personalize it to us and do sort of the refresh. So in my experience, right, adulting was told to me that, as this doom and gloom, you just have to do it. There's no way that it is remotely, enjoyable. And as you can tell, I'm recording this in the car, and people are ridiculous today. So I can hear all those horns. And so adulting was told to me, again, as this death of a sort, right, of it happens and then it can never go away. It's like a chronic illness, right? And I'm intentionally using that language because it was demonstrated as well as this lurking thing that you cannot, there doesn't possibly exist enough support or resources in the world to have it not suck ass, right? And so some of these lessons or expectations of adulting was work has to be really miserable and hard. You have to hate what you do, and you have to be extremely underpaid for it. You have to be struggling all the time. There is never a way to be prepared for any lumps or bumps or mumps in life, right? Everything will always destabilize you. Adulting is a very isolating experience. Adulting means that you don't have any community or connection. Adulting means that you spend all of your time time at your day job, and when you come home you just completely shut down. Community and connection and your family aren't really things that you spend time with, other than, again, these everything's obligatory, right? There's no room for choice, there's no room for change, there's no possibility for chance or miracles or any opportunities for for joy, for healing, for happiness, right? Adulting is just the biggest case of womp-womps there is. And so really that's what adulting was sort of said to be, and also how it was modeled, right? So it's very much like demonstrated that this is reality and this will be your reality. And also simultaneously, I was told that adulting had to be different for me, right? In terms of I have to go to college, first generation of my family to go to college. I had to be the one to go. I was going to be the one who then would be like a millionaire and then everything would be better, right? But was not then given any of the tools or resources for that to even be remotely what happened. So yes, then I went to school and now have accrued 6-figure student loan debt without the means or resources to not have that be absolutely drowning me. So I've been spending the past several years unpacking this and trying to breathe life into the process of adulting and the journey and experience of adulting, which obviously has led to this moment where I'm recording this right now to share with you all. But so much of what I have sat with and understood is that, so many things can be true at the same time, right? My parents were absolutely doing the best they could. My parents have absolutely broken some generational cycles of harm, right? Like both of my parents said I love you and, had their own micro ways that they consistently showed it, right? And also now knowing that their parents did not show that connection or affection with them, right? And so like it can be true that yes, they did their best, and also that can be not enough, right? Because if as adults what they were shown, right, let's acknowledge that this is so often tied to intergenerational cycles of harm and just cycles of being and dysfunction, that if we are continually shown throughout generations that adulting and parenthood are synonymous, and also like how we adult, whether as caregivers or not, is like showing up and doing what you're told by this outside source, and like that is where the control is, we're missing the opportunities to like know how does this feel in our body, what is our individual relationship like that we're navigating in this moment. So like in that family dynamic, what does my actual child need from me? What do I need from my partner? Not just what have I been told that, adulting in a partnership looks like. Is there even a sense of partnership in the relationship? Is it a situationship, right? Essentially, there are seldom these tools and permission, this room or like allowance for this reflection to happen. So if we only stop at, they did the best they could, what we're continually missing is the opportunity for growth, for humane practices to take root, to unlearn and relearn, right? And so one of the aspects then of reflecting on like where else are we being told what adulting is, what are we being shown, is there synergy or absolute chaos between what we're told versus what we're shown, right? So to have this exploration, yes, it's about your caregivers, your family of origin, and also like your peer group. What is media saying? What is that one book that you always read under your blanket with your flashlight because you weren't supposed to read it? What is that telling you, right? There's so many layers, and how we then are internalizing and processing all of this is so subconscious, and also becomes the foundation on which we're trying to like keep our head above water and navigate all the shit bugs. So, by the time we're actually in adulthood, we are often so bombarded with all of these messages and examples of what adulting is, and seldom have any of the resources or skills or practices been given to us to be processing this, to be having reflective practices, to be choosing, which things we're keeping, which things we're letting go of, to have the tools and the discernment to know what our values are, to know how we want to do right by ourselves and those we're in relationship with, to know how to acknowledge when we're wrong, and to offer repair to ourselves and others. And so now when we're then having this opportunity, so where the fuck do we go from here? Some of, these questions or prompts I want to share, again, is looking at, how can you start to reflect and discern which of these messages, and who were the messengers, ended up having the greatest influence on me. Which ones am I still grasping or gripping on that perhaps are no longer serving me? And so one of the ways that, you can be reflecting on this is asking, when I feel like I mess up, when something happens, there's a flub, right? Whose voice do I hear first in my mind? What words are they saying? Where do my expectations of how I should have done it right come from? What even is the right way? Why is there a right way? So that first sort of grouping of questions or prompts gives you more clues and insight about who your inner parent is. Because our inner parent is, again, this conglomeration of all of the adult or authoritative or, voices and figures and caregivers as we grew up. And so all of their ways of being and how they treated us and how they treated themselves all get smushed together and become our inner parent. And so by asking those questions first, and intentionally started with when you mess up, because so often in our society, everything is so reactive and penile, and, you are, it's not that an accident happened, it's you did it wrong, right? Everything is so blaming and shaming and guilt-based. So this next set of ponderies, right, for us is, when I think of a character, it can be a movie, a book, TV show, what have you. When I think of a character and I think, oh, they have all their shit together, or, oh, I could be like them, that would be so great. Who is it? What time period is this character from in my life? Meaning, is this someone that I first encountered during childhood? Is this someone that I watch or engage with, and enjoy their, their content, so to speak, right now? Right? Identifying that, asking yourself, where are there already similarities between us that I might be downplaying, or that I might not be allowing to see myself in? And then also, how would it be to be in relationship with this person? Right? Does this person that I'm pedestaling, does this character that I'm pedestaling have any Venn diagram overlapping with the best version of myself that I'm expecting myself to be at any given time, that I've decided is how I should be an adult? All right, so that's grouping 2. And then for this last third grouping, I'm going to start sprinkling a little breadcrumbs in for next week's episode, but really thinking of, do I believe that an ideal day or an ideal life exists? Is there room or possibility for the feelings or emotions or experiences that I would rather be having? Right? Do I even believe it's possible that I can wake up excited, or that work is not miserable, or that having financial literacy and management is possible, that I could have a supportive network and group of peers and, friends and family, right? Whatever of those sort of vision board things that you might, in the depth of your heart want for yourself, do you believe that it's even possible? Does it feel like you see yourself as worthy of receiving it? And depending on what those two answers, are, there can then sort of loop back to our first set of questions of, okay, so whose voice is telling me that they are or aren't possible? Who is telling me that I am or am not deserving or worthy of it? And acknowledging and naming where these beliefs are like anchored into, right? So like how deep these roots go, we're then going to be able to have more capacity next week to start playing with this idea of, okay, so now what do we do with this awareness? How do we get closer to this idea of having living the adult life we actually want to live? So, as always, hope you have a razzle-dazzle day. And if that's not accessible, you can put an F on front and have a frazzle-dazzle day. And if you are already curious about this episode or wanting to know more about working with me, I do have open books for the Live More with Lori one-to-one Voxer mentorship, where we are really looking at how do we get to this point of living our adult lives on our own terms, and how do we do that in a way that is accessible and sustainable and creating the capacity to have more of these feel-good, nourishing moments without the unharmful bypassing ourselves and, just adding it to our never-ending to-do list type vibes. So next week we will go ahead and dive more into this. But if you're already curious or want to know, you can go and connect with me on Threads or Instagram or TikTok. Those are all at improvide.live. No, I just mixed all those up. Improvide, IMPROVIDE.with.Lori, LORI. Or you can go to my website, Improviding, IMPROVIDING, life, LIFE.com. Or you can email me at hello@loricrawford.me. Alright, those are all the things. I'm safely parked outside home now. I'm going to go inside and have a doom spiral clean because we're at the point where after a week of travel, our house needs a full reset because all the bags are all everywhere. And we were out at a doctor's appointment for our toddler this morning. Our dogs got into all of the grocery bags, which from our travels with snacks and whatnot that were up on a chair, but they knocked it over. And so I also have to clean up 875,000 crumbs and random pieces of food and wrappers and all the things. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to ask myself, how do I want to do those adulting chores, right? Or like those obligation type things. How does Lori, as an adult right now, want to approach those? And if I remember, maybe I'll start next week's episode with a recap of how that goes. I wish you all of the yummiest snacks, just coming right to your mouth when you want them. And so appreciate that we got to spend this time together.